Hello there everyone, I'm Diesel, and welcome to a series of videos where I take on the title of The Curry Furry. That is either the best or worst name I have ever come up with. So, I really like to cook, and as you can probably tell just by the title I just gave myself, I make a lot of curry. And so, I decided that, from time to time, I'll make some cooking videos showing various curries and other dishes that this Durgan here likes to make. But first, let me just say as a bit of a disclaimer that I'm not a professionally trained chef or anything like that. I'm just a fuzzball that really enjoys cooking. A furry foodie, essentially. Okay, on to the dish that this video is about. Chicken korma! Now, let me just stress one crucial fact about myself before continuing. I have never been to India, nor have I ever been to the UK. So everything that I know is just based on what I research and cook for myself. And if any of the information that I say is inaccurate for whatever reason, feel free to roast me in the comments like the coffee bean that I am. Alrighty, so from what I know, korma is a dish that is originally from the Indian subcontinent, with roots dating as far back as the 16th century. And since then, korma's taken on several different variations. While northern and southern India seem to have their own differences regarding how korma is made, the most noticeable difference seems to be between how it's made on the Indian subcontinent and how it's made in the UK. Probably not as huge of a difference as how we here in America make Chinese food. The only chop suey I personally like is by system of a down. Though there are still various differences for how curries are made in India and how they're made in the UK. But that's another video entirely. As far as chicken korma goes, I've looked at a lot of different recipes, both for research purposes and to try to come up with one for, well, myself. And you can kinda tell if a recipe has that UK influence. In many traditional Indian kormas, as well as curries in general, you'll probably see a heavy focus on the usage of whole spices. Things like sugar and curry powder are going to be indicators that the dish might not be completely traditional. I would say coconut milk is another indicator, but I've heard they actually do use coconut milk for kormas in southern India. Take that information with a grain of turmeric. Now, the chicken korma that I made for this video admittedly isn't going to be 100% traditional either. I'm not sure how much of it is, but I'm pretty sure that this isn't. Overall, I did try to keep certain aspects as authentic as I could, while also mixing things up a little bit. And hopefully I didn't stray too far from what makes a korma, well, a korma. If I did, then like I said before, I'm a coffee bean. I'm meant to be roasted. Okay, now on to the actual recipe. So, for this recipe, you'll need about 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs cut into bite-sized pieces, 1 large white onion chopped or diced, 3 green chili peppers seeded and diced according to your heat tolerance, I chose serranos, 1/3 cup tomato paste or puree, I'm using puree, 6 crushed garlic cloves or 1 tablespoon garlic paste, about 2 inches of ginger root mashed or 1 tablespoon ginger paste, plain yogurt, coconut milk, 1 lemon, only use half of it, 8 whole cloves, 10 whole cardamom pods, 3 bay leaves, 1 large or 2 small cinnamon sticks, ground coriander, ground cumin, ground turmeric, smoked paprika, garam masala, salt, black pepper, avocado oil, and either ghee or clarified butter, which is optional. Wow, that was a mouthful. Also, the reason this ghee is melted is because I had just made it from scratch, and I'm pretty sure it just barely qualifies as ghee. But once again, that's another video entirely. Now for the actual cooking. First, you want to mix 2 teaspoons each of cumin and coriander, 1 teaspoon each of turmeric and smoked paprika, and about half a teaspoon each of salt and black pepper into a small cup or container and set it aside. Next, heat a wok or heavy bottom pan over medium-high heat and pour in about 1 tablespoon of avocado oil. I originally had to dump some of it out because I was too busy looking at the camera the first time I poured it. Once the bottom of the pan is coated, dump in the onions and peppers and give them a good stir. You'll want to saute or stir fry these for about 8 or 10 minutes or until the onions become translucent and start to brown. Then take them out of the pan. Okay, this next step is entirely optional because even though I like the flavor of onions and peppers, I don't really like the texture. I never have. So the next thing I did was put them in a blender and blend them down into a fine paste. I know, some of you might be giving me some weird looks after that, but I just can't help the fact that I'm a picky eater. But like I said, you totally don't have to do this. I just prefer the smoother consistency. Anyway, before adding them back to the pan, you'll first want to add about 1 tablespoon of ghee or clarified butter or oil if you don't have any ghee. You're then going to want to throw in all of your whole spices at once. This helps flavor the ghee or oil. You'll then want to stir fry the whole spices for about a minute or until the cinnamon sticks begin to unfurl. And at this point, you can either leave them in or put them in a tea ball or cheesecloth as a bouquet garni. to make picking them out when the curry's done easier. Though I would recommend leaving them in and remembering how many of each spice you used. Regardless of what you do with the whole spices, add the onions and peppers back to the pan, whether you blended them or not, along with the garlic and ginger at this point. Stir fry the mixture for another minute, and at long last, we are adding the chicken to the pan. Now you're gonna want to stir fry the chicken for about 3 minutes, then add in the ground spice mixture. Stir fry everything for another 3 minutes or so, or until the chicken starts to brown. At this point, you're gonna add half a cup of the plain yogurt, half a cup of coconut milk, and the third cup of tomato paste or puree, along with another pinch of salt. Immediately turn the heat down to medium-low and proceed to mix everything together. And if you remembered the ingredients I showed right before I started cooking, you may be thinking to yourself, wait a minute, wasn't there supposed to be a lemon? And the answer to that is yes. Yes, there was. You'll want to squeeze in about 2 teaspoons worth of lemon juice, minding the seeds, of course. And now comes the wait. I don't know what I'm tapping. I don't have a watch. You're gonna want the curry to sit there and simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes. Cause now that we've cooked the chicken until it browned, we need it to simmer nice and slow for a bit. After the 15 to 20 minutes, add in about a teaspoon of garam masala, mix it in, and let the curry simmer for another 5 minutes or so. Also, make sure to taste and adjust for seasoning throughout the cooking process when you can, to see if it's seasoned properly or if you need to add a bit more salt. So now, once the time is up, take the curry off the heat and it's time to plate it up. Though you will want to make sure to take out the whole spices at this point. And if you've done everything right up to this point, the chicken korma is officially done. Garnish it with something like fresh cilantro or scallions, and serve it up with basmati rice or some naan bread. And there you have it, my take on chicken korma. I'll be honest, when I started this, I was kind of lacking in the confidence department, wondering if this or that would end up turning out right. But overall, I would say I'm happy with how the dish turned out in the end. Also, because I used green serrano peppers, the version I made wasn't too spicy. If you're thinking about trying this and you want it even milder, you can use jalapeno peppers instead. And if you want an even hotter curry, you can also use Thai chilies. In fact, it would probably be more authentic if you used Thai chilies. And remember that red chilies are usually going to be hotter than the green ones. Trust me, I'm a dragon. We know a thing or two about keeping things spicy. Wait, no, not that kind of spicy. Go away. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this recipe video. I really hope you can give this curry a try if you can, and I hope you'll be back here again for another recipe from the Curry Furry. Stay spicy! Part of me wonders if I should ever say that again. Ugh.